Here we are again, let's go on. Hopefully this is the exit of the cave, because now the caves are seriously creeping me out once again. My mother just praised me, not because I'm playing the game, but because some guy from Africa phoned me and I made him believe that I couldn't talk English. We've been lately we've been called by some guys from Africa, trying to get us to tell them our credit numbers, or those numbers on our credit cards. They're trying to trick people, or that's what my mother says at least. So she's my mother. I better just believe her whenever she says something. Am I right? Yes, I am. Let's move on and see you. Oh! We're out! We're out! Ah! Someone has been here. It was really weird in the caves that we were suddenly underwater.
I wish I could have known Donnelly in this place. We would have had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones, or did I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea? Who fell silently to his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight?
Oh, fuck off! Not everything is about you. And now we are somewhere, and it looks like this game seems to be more and more like Amnesia. Looks like this guy has no idea what he's doing here, and seems like he has only fractions of his own memory. Look at that!
We begin to assemble our own version of the North Shore. We will scrawl in dead languages and electrical diagrams and hide them away for future theologians to muse and mumble over. We will send a letter to Esther Donnelly and demand her answer. We will mix the paint with ashes and tarmac and the glow from our infections. We will paint a moon over the Sanford Junction and blue lights falling like stars along the hard shoulder.
Yuck. Hospital stuff. I guess he has some kind of hospital trauma. And there's definitely a guy up there. Some guy not moving at all. Just looking around. He's creeping me out. Very interesting game though. Very interesting. Didn't cost much this game, it was pretty cheap. 7.99 euros. All this scientific stuff and the blood and the scissors, I assume that that maybe the protagonist is dreaming and this is some kind of dreamland of some sort. He keeps talking about his guts, that he created this island. Maybe he did, maybe this just... And here's Tyrus. I guess it's the car accident he talked about. My guess is that he's been through some kind of car accident and he's now lying in a hospital, and this is causing him some kind of
There were chemical
trauma.
diagrams on the mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook. He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. He'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter, forming a strategic vision for the peddling of antacid yogurt to the European market. You could trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity.
More gibberish. I didn't really listen to that. Scary music once
From
again.
here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
Something tells me I shouldn't go down here, but I'm doing that anyway. Here's the boats he's talking about. What does the boats... What purpose does the boats... I don't know what purpose the boats serve. Maybe the car accident was near the shore or something. I don't know. I guess the game ends when we reach that light over there. I have no idea what it's called, really, so I just call it the red light. I figure the game will end when we reach the red light, I suppose. I'm wrecking my brain here. What does the boats mean?
When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they resuscitated him by hitting him in the chest with stones gathered by the roadside. He was lifeless for 21 minutes, certainly long enough for the oxygen levels in his brain to have decreased and caused hallucinations and delusions of transcendence. I'm running out of painkillers, and the moon has become almost unbearably bright.
He actually said it. He's getting painkillers, getting pills. That means something. I guess that some nurse have given him painkillers or something. And why was...
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
I have no idea what that means. Maybe the protagonist and Esther was in this car crash together on the high road, and maybe the car was hurled out in some kind of
If only
ocean.
Donnelly had experienced this,
I don't know.
he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
What does that mean? Oh, I'm so confused. We're getting nearer and nearer to the light thingy. The red lights. We haven't met anyone at all yet. No animals except the flying kind.
The stones in my stomach will weigh me down and ensure my descent is true and straight. I will break through the fog of these godforsaken pills and achieve clarity. All my functions are clogged, all my veins are choked. If my leg doesn't rot off before I reach the summit, it will be a miracle. There are 21 connections in the circuit diagram of the anti-lock brakes. There are 21 species of gull inhabiting these islands. It is 21 miles between the Sandford Junction and the turn-off for home. All these things cannot, will not be a coincidence.
Alright, he was on his way home from Sandford. There was 21 miles. And while he was going home, he was in a car crash. And now he's lying in a hospital. I guess he has some kind of medical illness. Maybe Esther's dead. Maybe it's the protagonist who is dying, trying to communicate with Esther, and becoming even closer to the red lights. Very interesting game. Very interesting game, really.
I have dredged these waters for the bones of the hermit, for the traces of Donnelly, for any sign of Jakobsen's flock, for the empty bottle that would incriminate him. I have scoured this stretch of motorway 21 times, attempting to recreate his trajectory, the point when his heart stopped dead and all he saw was the moon over the Sandford Junction. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all, and it was not his fault. It was the converging lines that doomed him. This is not a recorded natural condition. The gulls do not fly so low over the motorway and cause him to swerve. The paint scored away from his car in lines like an infection, making directly for the heart.
What is it with the protagonist and the lines? What does the lines mean? What lines? The line between life and death? Something, I don't know. Getting even nearer the red light. It's kind of scary. And the protagonist is getting more and more frustrated.
I am the Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star.
Is he announcing his own death now?
Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
Oh dear. I guess that's the end of the game. And yeah. We are falling against this. I don't know, against this island. Now he's flying. Hooray. We're Peter Pan. We're Peter Pan. For some reason. Very beautiful scenery, really is. We're flying around. It's beautiful. Really is. Really is so beautiful. I guess this is the end of the game. They Who's that other Donnelly the protagonist is talking about? I guess it is the same Donnelly called Esther. Look at that shadow, that must be us. We're turning into a bird. Beautiful. That was very interesting. Quite a journey. A bit boring at the start. No scares, no action, nothing at all. But beautiful scenery, beautiful music. I enjoyed it, even though sometimes I was really creeped out and I wanted to end the game, but I pulled through anyway. And now this screen is simply black. Now what? I have no idea. The one thing I do know that I have to pee now. I'll stop recording now. Thank you for watching me. This has been Cake Eater with the game Dear Esther. It has been a real journey.